All right, so you want to become a content creator. You might be thinking to yourself, do I really need to invest in one of these fancy cameras? Well, the answer is no. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips, and I'm going to tell you if you can only afford one piece of gear, I'm going to tell you what you need to be buying. Stay tuned. Okay, so I got 5 tips for you that are gonna get you started as a content creator. Number 1 is I want you to think audio first. And what that means is think of if you can only afford one piece of gear, then put that money towards audio. There are many affordable wireless microphones nowadays. I myself, I use the Rode Wireless Go's. I have the Rode Wireless Go Pros, and also the DJI Mic 2. I'll link those in the descriptions. This can run you anywhere from a couple hundred to 300. I think the DJI Mic 2 now. I know DJI 3 came out, so you might be able to get that a lot cheaper, maybe 200, 250. But there are some other options, and I'll link a few of these. Some of them well under $100. There's some decent mics for 50, 70 bucks, $100. So if you can only afford one piece of gear, think about audio. Why? Because most likely you already have a phone. The phone can shoot 4K. Most of these new phones now, they can do a tremendous job. So you can get by with shooting on your phone, more than get by. I mean, the phones actually have professional quality cameras nowadays. So you can just use your phone. And then if you have to spend money on audio. Because people are more forgiving of the video not looking as crispy, but they're not gonna forgive you if your video sounds crappy. In fact, I'm gonna give you a quick demonstration just to show you the difference between having good audio or okay video versus great video with bad audio. So I want you to see the difference when I use the microphone that's in my iPhone. Okay, so in this test, I'm using the built-in microphone on my iPhone, and this is what it sounds like. I'm not using any microphone. This is just the mic built into the iPhone. And now let's look at a different sample where I'm actually using one of my wireless microphones in conjunction with my iPhone. All right, now I'm using the DJI Mic 2. It's connected to my iPhone via Bluetooth, and now you can see that there is a big difference by me adding this microphone. You can hear me a lot more clear, and it's a lot easier for you to hear what I'm saying. So that is why it is always recommended that you, especially when you're filming on your phone, that you add a microphone. I think you can tell that the difference is clear. So the bottom line is, if you can hear me clearly, you'll watch longer. Tip number 2, again, use your phone as your camera. Most phones nowadays can shoot at least in 1080, but the majority of phones can shoot 4K. You can use your phone as your main camera. Now, here's some tips when you're using your phone as your main camera. Clean the lens on your phone before you get started. As you know, you always got your phone in your pocket, so you always want to make sure you clean the lens on your phone before you get started. Also, I recommend you use the back camera of your phone instead of the front-facing camera. The camera on the back of your phone is going to be way higher in terms of resolution, so it's going to look a lot better if you can use that camera. You also want to lock the exposure on your phone. All you do is you just tap and hold on the screen until you see that yellow square, and you'll see that it'll say auto exposure locked. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to lock the exposure, so no matter what happens in the frame, the phone will keep the same exposure. You don't want the phone to be auto exposing, meaning changing the exposure, going brighter, going darker. So you just want to make sure that stays locked while you're recording. The next tip is I recommend you use either a tripod or you can use a stand. If you have like a light stand, you can probably buy a light stand on Amazon for like 20 bucks, 30 bucks. In fact, I'll link one in the description. If not, you can use, I have this little tripod that I bought on Amazon. I think it was like $20, $30, which is a great tripod for phones. I'll link that in the description. This tripod can go as high as 6 feet. So you always want to make sure your footage is stable, especially when you're talking to camera like this. You want to keep it locked and you want to keep it from moving. Again, people don't want to be watching shaky footage, so you want a lockdown shot, especially when you're doing talking heads like this. All right, let's move on to tip number 3, which is lighting. Lighting with no budget. So if you don't have any money to buy lights, here's a couple things you can do. Number 1 is you can shoot near a window. Find a window in your home or office and get some of that light, some of that natural light. And obviously, you want to be facing the window where the light is coming to you and the camera is in front of you, rather than you being in front of the window with the camera pointing directly towards the window, because in that case you're going to get kind of a silhouette. So you never want to be in front of a big light source, especially the sun, because we're not going to be able to see you. So you always want to position yourself facing the window. You can put the camera right in front of the window facing you, so you're getting all that natural light. You can also get a reflector. This one right here, this cheap one, I got it at the dollar store. And if you just put this like on a chair or something, you can bounce even more light into your face. You can bounce some more of that natural light right to your face. I bought this literally at the dollar store for $1. Also, you can use a lamp. If you have a table lamp or something like that, you can just, sit it right next to you, in front of you, so you get some of that light in your face, especially if you're shooting at night. Tip number 4 is cinematography. When it comes to framing, you always want to frame the eyes at the top of the third line, when we're talking about the rule of thirds, which, as you can see right here, if I put a rule of thirds, you can see that my eyes are on the top third line. This gives you a pleasant image to look at. You don't also want to have not enough headroom, so you want to have a little headroom, not too much. You don't want to be sitting halfway on the frame with halfway of the frame. That's too much headroom. You also don't want to be right against the frame. Where you're cutting yourself up. No, you want to give yourself a little bit of headroom, top third line, your eyes matching that, and give yourself a little space when you're talking. So if I'm talking this way, you can see I have a little leading room. There's a little space, you know what I mean? You don't want to be right like this. You don't want to be right in front of the lens. You want to give yourself a little space when you're talking. You can also center yourself. That's also acceptable, especially if you're looking right at camera. Nothing wrong with doing that. And also, another tip is if you're shooting if you're making a reel for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, then you might want to shoot vertical, which is with your phone standing like this, rather than horizontal, which is what I'm doing now, which is usually what you do for the long form video. But if you're shooting more shorts, short videos and, 30, 60, 90 seconds, you want to do that vertical. You want to shoot vertical video for that. All right. And tip number 5 is don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait to buy the perfect camera, have the perfect lighting setup. If you want to start creating content, just get going. Just do it. Don't worry about if I have the right camera or none of that stuff. At the end of the day, what matters really is the content, what you're putting out. People are more likely to connect with you if you're putting out content, regardless of if you're shooting on a phone or not. They're not going to care about that if your content is good. On the other hand, if you got a cinematic video with great lighting, great sound, but the content, the substance of the video is not any good, then people are not going to connect with you. So the bottom line is just do it. Just get going, start shooting your content. Follow these instructions, and this will get you going, and hopefully you can grow your audience, grow your content, and then after that, you can invest in the camera, lighting, all that stuff. But to get started, I think you can get started on your phone. No need for anything. Just get a good, decent microphone, a wireless microphone that can connect to your phone, and you're set. You're good to go. All right, if you watched this far, I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, just drop it down below. Love to hear what you have to say. If you haven't done so, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.